What's going on, everyone? I'm Teray, and thanks for stopping by, Filling the Hole. Join me each week as I sit with guests as they share their experience, strength, and hope on our journey to overcome suffering. Please enjoy this episode of Filling the Hole. You know what, just as well as I do, anything that we can do to just like spread the word and just these stories that are so powerful, it helps somebody. So the more knowledge and resources that's out there, the better. So I'm so looking forward to you getting started, and I will be of service any way I can.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And you'll be a guest on mine as well.
Yes. What's going on, everyone? I'm Teray, and thanks for stopping by Filling the Hole. Today with me, I have Lea in the studio. Lea, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be here. This is
I'm
my
excited.
first podcast appearance.
Yes, and it won't be the last, people, because Lea
Mm,
is thinking of starting something. I won't give it away. I'll let her tell you when the time is right. But things are in the works. Things are in the works. I'm excited that you're
that's
here
right.
too. Lea, why don't you tell the people a little bit how we've come in contact, how our paths crossed?
Well, our paths have crossed in recovery.
It's very that. And you're always a light. And the other day, I've heard your shares like here and there, but the other day when you took lead, like to hear your story and to hear you lead the meeting, wow, it just like it hit me in all the right ways, and you were just like exactly what I needed for that Monday to get that week started, and it was incredible. So tell us a little bit about you. What kind of got you started in the meetings?
Well, in the meetings, so I had gotten out of rehab in like late November of 2023. I came back home and then relapsed like 2.5 weeks after getting out of rehab. And someone there had invited me to a CMA meeting. And I was like, oh my God, there's CMA meetings? Like, I didn't know what the fuck a CMA meeting was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was also, even though rehab was a very like amazing experience for me, I did in a way feel isolated because it was mostly alcoholics, which it shouldn't matter, but I definitely felt like a difference in the way they were, like that my peers in treatment were viewing me. Like they only took us to AA meetings. Everything was from the AA book, which again is great. That's how I was introduced to the program, but it just
Mm-hmm.
felt so much more welcoming, so much more validating, so much more community oriented when I went to the CMA meeting. It's a Sunday meeting at the Dunes something. I forget.
Yeah.
But that was my introduction to CMA. And then when I got home, and I relapsed, I started going to the meetings even though I was using. So the online meetings I would, listen to on my way to work.
But that's
And,
so, but if I may, that's so awesome because, addiction is very isolating. It's very lonely. And, in the program, they say the opposite of addiction is connection. And the fact that you were able to
right.
still seek that outside help and that outside kind of influence to get better, that's so amazing. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, it literally, my relapse would have lasted. I mean, because I was going to meetings, even though while I was actively relapsing, I was able to throw my bag away. I was able to crush all my paraphernalia, and my relapse was way shorter than it would have been had I not been going to meetings because I would have continued to feel isolated. I would have continued to feel shame, guilt, and like, bitch, you just went to treatment and you're fucking up already? Like, what the hell's like?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it definitely was and is saving me.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I think that is a like such something to recognize as a powerful piece of this disease that you know when addiction takes hold, there's no telling how long that hold is going to be. But the opposite of addiction is connection. So I'm sure that had a huge piece of pulling you back too, and just saying, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this is it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. And when you have people that are there to help, that are there for the right reasons, it's easier to get help. So kudos to you. Leah, where are you from?
I born and raised San Francisco, city proper.
All right.
Yep. Well,
That's
I'm a Bay
awesome.
Area babe.
Bay Area, babe. I love that. I've never heard that. I'm such an East Coast
I
boy.
just made it up right now.
Yeah. I'm here. Let's get that on a t-shirt. Maybe your project, we could work that in somewhere. Let's come on. Let's do this. That's amazing. One thing that you really touched on during your share, and it was very powerful for me. You spoke something along the lines, and I say this often in my shares. My trauma manifests from, or excuse me, my addiction manifests from my trauma. And I'm so advocate about that. And I try to include that in as many shares as I give, because for me, it helped knowing what demon I was fighting. I was able to put a name to
Yeah.
it. The drugs are just masking. Would you be comfortable talking a little bit about that? Because your share was so incredibly powerful.
Yeah. I mean, that's so my first addiction was food. When I was little and felt unheard, unvalidated, I had no way to process, identify, or feel my emotions. I spent the most of my life just shoving them down, shoving them down. And that has manifested in looking for comfort and validation outside of myself. And that has led me down many paths of pain and suffering, because I'm constantly or I will had been constantly seeking things outside of myself to like nourish my emotional well-being, my spiritual well-being. And that just doesn't work. So from a young age, I started overeating, and seeking comfort through food because it was like something I could control. I couldn't control my home environment, which was chaotic, confusing, stressful, traumatic. But I could sneak into my mom's room and steal her candy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, and yeah, then that also, it's crazy what a vicious cycle it is because also that so I started overeating and being a chubby kid. And then I have my family, medical professionals, my peers telling me, you're fat, you're overweight, bullying me. And that like perpetuates the shame, the guilt, the feelings of unworthiness. Like, well, I'm not good enough because of my body. And so I mean, that's something I'm still struggling with is just like my body has nothing to do with my worth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that so then feeling like I'm not good enough, made me like try to change and fit in and accommodate other people and what their expectations of me were so that I could feel validation from other people or my peers. And so doing things that I might not necessarily want to do, but because I think it's going to make someone else happy, which
Mm-hmm.
will make me, I think was what will make me feel good. I would do shit like shit that I didn't want to do, saying yes when I want to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Just all, yeah, so much shit.
Yeah. No, I feel
So,
you. I feel you. And I've only known you for a couple of short months, and you are beautiful. You are bright. You are such a light. So, fuck everybody else and whoever says
I
we're
mean,
not enough. Like, we're just around the wrong fucking people. I'll say that.
amen to that.
Because I can resonate so much with that feeling, not enough or only a value for what I could produce or provide. And that's where my addiction takes me. It always reminds me of my inadequacies and anything that I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I learned this in rehab. I never kind of pieced this together.
Mhm.
But I'm like, no, I'm a messy bitch. I'm not a perfectionist. And they're like, no, no, perfect. Right? They're like, they, they're like, no, you are, because you would rather burn it down to the ground if it is not made to the standard of which you. And I'm like, well, if that's fucking perfectionism, yeah, you got me. I'm like, I'm like,
Oh,
I'm like,
that's relatable.
as they're saying it, I got the gasoline in one hand and the matches in the other. I'm like, oh, is that what this is? Oh
That's
man,
so much of our lives, though, is like doing things kind of unconsciously and then not having the language or the
yeah.
framework to understand it. And then, like, once you're given that language and that framework, you're like, oh, yeah, I guess that does make
Oh
sense.
shit! I guess that does apply. No,
I
it's
don't have a
so
problem.
true.
You have a problem.
Hmm. Very that energy. Very that energy. And and thank you for touching on something so powerful. It's like we don't have the language. We don't have the tools. I was diagnosed ADHD at the age of like 6 or 7 and put on nearly my like double my body weight and Ritalin, so which completely zombied me out. Like
Yeah.
I was no longer a nuisance for everybody around me. And that's
Yep.
kind of how the theme of my life went. It was, how do we numb this little crazy bastard, so we don't have to deal. And so my whole life I just felt like, it like something was wrong with me. Nobody wanted to engage with me. I was not worthwhile. And meanwhile, I was just a freaking very rambunctious, energetic kid that like didn't necessarily have the tools or the outlet to put that energy into anything.
Well, I mean, I think you're touching on like a very large societal issue, which is that when kids aren't able to conform to the requirements that our educational system is like shoving down your throat, not only does it perpetuate the I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, nobody wants me, but like literally getting you addicted to drugs at a young age. And like it's crazy to me because I've worked in school and I've worked with like the problem children as a behavioral
Mm-hmm.
tech, and for the most part, they just want love. And that's what school should be. It should be learning about yourself. What are your inherent like skills, talents, fostering those and learning how to fucking interact with people. Like
Yeah,
they
that's so
have
beautiful.
educational standards now for kindergarteners. So if a kindergartner isn't meeting, like doesn't know how to write this, doesn't know how to do that, like they're already labeling them as behind academically. But it's like,
Yeah.
how can you say shit about a 5-year-old like that?
Yeah, seriously. No, seriously. Kids are the most innocent things in this world and should be protected at all costs. Yet our society is quick to drop a label and cast them out or say not proficient or fail. And it's like, of course we have mental health issues in this country. Of course we're, turning to drugs and alcohol and substances to numb all of those emotions that,
Hmm.
stem from a very young age of inadequacy, of not being enough, or told that you're not enough, rather. Um, yeah, dude, it's so crazy. I'm so mindful with my words around like my nieces and nephews now, because it wasn't just school for me. Unfortunately, that language carried over at home,
Hmm.
and I remember, I'll say elders in my family just kind of saying that kid's gonna end up dead or in
Or in
prison
jail.
and or in jail, and I'm like 8 years old. I am totally buying what the fuck you're saying, and so at a very early age, I kind of had the biggest case of the fuck it's that I think has ever been measured, because at a very early age, I realized I was black, I was white, and I was never going to fit into either. And then you throw gay into the mix, now, I'm a triple threat, but in the wrong direction. Like, so I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, my family isn't really supportive. School's telling me that I'm this monster. I need to be medicated. So I didn't really live to like, I kind of fell into the narrative that was played for me. And I fought a lot as a kid because my two options were allow the bullying to happen or punch a motherfucker in the throat and, teach them that they weren't going to fuck with me. So I quickly, developed a reputation for being, even worse, the bad kid, the fighter, da da da. But I look back and, through the program and through rehab, I realized those were skills I learned. Those were skills that I had to learn to survive my environment. I wasn't this bad fucking kid. I wasn't this
No.
monster, this shithead. I was a child trying to just survive, and my environment called for that. Like, how about the adults that are around take a look in the mirror and say, what are we doing to provide this environment that this child has to act this way? You know?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's like a very interesting intersection of so many social issues and like race, sexual identity, and like toxic masculinity. Like because that's a symptom of having to what makes you a man, being able to fucking kick someone's ass and being
Mm-hmm.
able to be angry, but that's literally like you had no other option in that choice, in that environment.
Totally. Totally. And it's like, feel it. No, we don't cry. We don't, exactly. You
Right.
touched on it, that toxic masculinity. So it's like, you're handing me a deck of cards, but like 80% of the cards are removed. And you're telling me these are the ones that I have to choose from. Of course I'm going to fucking swing first. Like, I literally had no tools, can you tell me a little bit about your experience at rehab? What was, I guess, your, like, were there any realizations, and what were the tools
Ugh.
that were placed in front of you looked like?
Oh wow. This is gonna take some contemplation. Well, I will say that I mean, at first it was very difficult to be there because I was detoxing and like as I was detoxing, I would start having like PTSD nightmares and like wake up sweating with my heart pounding, like literally like clawing at my pillows, because I was starting to remember all the horrible shit I've been through over the last like year of my addiction. And so that part was extremely difficult, but the actual like setting, I mean, I went to like rich person rehab. I'm like so shocked that my insurance paid for it. So I'm very blessed to have been able to go there. But realizations, wow, so many. I mean, I'm hella codependent. I like to worry about everyone else, so I don't have to worry about myself. Um, that was a big one.
Can we touch on that one real quick? Because that's something that
Yeah,
you and I have in common. Are you a people pleaser to the fullest? Like, you'll be on your last dying breath and being like, but what can I do for you?
yeah. Do you want to
Same.
go here or can I stay here and die? I don't know. Like, yeah. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally. And that's a very powerful skill, I think, to learn in when you're coming up and your environment may be lacking in the resources to kind of sculpt whatever person you're developing into. For me, the people pleasing, like, so I was like this complete badass. I didn't give a f, and like I was gonna punch you in the throat if you came for me. But on the other hand, like, so it's one extreme to the other, right? Like, hello, addict. And so it was people pleasing or violence, and it's so wild how we cope and how we learn to, I guess, adapt to our environment and surroundings to survive. Um, yeah, was that codependency?
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say like how interesting it is how the program just like off top, if you, because I've been willing to try to use the principles in the program, like knowing what I have control over, I can't control other people. My codependency and my people pleasing is me trying to control a situation, an outcome, people, what they think of me. And then I just end up feeling resentful when the shit don't work out how I planned it in my head. And so it's like just
How
off
dare they?
top.
How dare they not reciprocate the favors that they didn't ask me for? How dare they not pay me back when they didn't even ask me to do it?
Those pieces of shit. Yeah.
Yep. Same, girl.
Exactly. So like just off the top, it was like, oh my God, my life would be so much easier,
Mm-hmm.
so much simpler. Um, but I also learned that codependency, the term codependency was created for the partners of addicts.
Mm.
And that,
Wow.
yeah, so I recommend anyone who's struggling with codependency read Codependency No More by Melody Beattie, Beattie. That's that daily reflection thing that I've been sending you is from one of her, what is it? The Language of Letting Go, which is another book she has.
Oh, I love that, and I love your affirmations and those passages that you send me because I read through them and I'm just like, that applies to me. That applies. So thank you for letting me know what book that is finally, because I was like, what is this? That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
recommend it to anyone. And then also there's another book called The Human Magnet Syndrome, and I don't remember who wrote it, but the basic premise is that codependency and narcissism are on the same spectrum, but the opposite side
Mm.
of the spectrum.
Oh
And so
wow.
codependents and narcissists just naturally, it's like a human magnet because they're like fulfilling oh, you're going to do anything I want. Like, oh, you're going to use me. It's just like they fulfill each other's like
Magnetic
unhealthy
poles.
needs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the narcissist wants someone who's going to be willing to fucking come pick them up when they've been cheating on them from the bitch's house but the codependent so wants to rescue them and like so it's just like this crazy uh literal yeah like and I read that book like a year ago and was like holy shit but then I continued to be in a codependent relationship so
Hey, progress, not perfection, baby doll. We
that's
are
right
we are becoming. We have not became. So that means I will still whoop
yeah
a bitch's ass if I need to, but I don't want to go that route. So let's keep it to our higher selves, please.
I people be like, I'm like, look, I don't want to fight you, but if you fucking touch me, bro, like,
I'm like, see, you see this work in progress. You didn't see where this work began.
don't test
Yeah,
me.
please, please. I am
Yeah.
from Jersey. I'm from the hood, girl. I've had to learn how to fight. So there's that. um, all right. So I think we went a little bit into what it was like. What's it like now for you? Um, what are some principles that you try to practice or just be mindful of to being better for yourself, for others, and just yeah, just bettering, each day. Yeah, walk me through that.
That's a great question. So I would say that the biggest things I've taken from being in the program, well, like I'll first say the biggest thing I took from treatment was being introduced to the program and like
Mm-hmm.
having all those preconceived notions about what it's about, like dismantled basically, and then like being like, holy shit, the world would be a better place if everyone did this shit. Like, if every person were the steps, the world would be a better place. And more
As,
accepting. So the first thing, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say
Did you
somebody
have
said
anything?
at a meeting one time that their world exactly what you just said. The
Oh,
world would be a better place if everybody went to a freaking meeting, and I was just like,
yeah.
yes, yes,
uh, it's true.
yeah.
And we're willing to like listen and not, yeah, we naturally have so many it's just bias.
Mm-hmm.
What it comes down to, it's bias. We think we know something because of one time this person did one thing to us, or because one time a dog bit us. All dogs are bad. So,
Mm-hmm.
the program, learning the like trying to live the principles of the program, every day. the biggest ones that have helped me is acceptance. So I know I said this in my share, but learning to accept myself, who I truly am. Like, bitch, the only thing I can do is be me. So I'm pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Yes, you are, mama.
Accepting, but then accepting other people as they are, not how I want them to be, not how I think they can be, not for their potential, how they are right now in front of me. And then accept life for what it is. So like, this is what it is. Like I can't. It's life. Sometimes it sucks. It's great other times. Like it's just a yeah. So acceptance.
Totally. Yeah, I was laughing because
And
Lucy
then
popped up, and I just saw her little head at the bottom of the screen.
oh,
I was smiling. She was
Malucci. She had to get
cutie.
comfy.
She's like,
She's
Mom,
the
why are you?
bestie.
What's going on over there?
She's happy because I'm working from home.
Oh,
So
I
yeah.
she's such a cutie. I'm like I want to be friends with Lucy. I want to be. Well, we're friends
Yeah.
now, so it's only bound to happen. And
Yeah.
you got to let me know when you come to Jersey, New York.
Yeah, I need to plan a trip because I miss. I think that because my family, everyone in my immediate family was born in New York City, and I'm the only West Coast baby. So I like the East Coast energy. It's not so passive aggressive. If someone has a problem with you, they just tell you, and that's so much easier to deal with.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I did treatment out in Los Angeles, and I was I was so taken back by the passive aggressive, just energy. We'll call it that because I have a few chosen words that I'm not even going to use right now. Progress. Um, but I was just like, and like people would look at me like I had two heads because I'm like, yeah, no. As a matter of fact, I don't agree with that, and I'm not going to do that or co-sign that bullshit that you're on right now. And like you're a monster if you don't just like politely decline or agree and give them a compliment. I'm not going to do that. That's just not who I am. Um, yeah, I think when I left my treatment center because very Teray fashion, I left on my terms. I was like, I'm done here. I'm gonna go back home. I
Thanks.
thanks, kisses. I was just like, I'm gonna go back home, and I need to because the biggest part where I found success, very similar to you, was in the programs. Right, I got the ability to go to meetings, and I started going to meetings, and like I was like this. Um, it was the missing component for me. And so when I got, towards the end of my stay, and it was like, well, acclimate to the world, but don't acclimate this way. And I'm like, I'm going to meetings. And they're like, well, don't go to that meeting. I'm like, yeah, I don't operate under this kind of like, guiding or ruling. So yeah, good luck with that. I'm gonna go now because I need to find this back home on the East Coast, back home in New York. And it was the best thing I could have done for myself was knowing that it was my time and advocating that it was my time, and then ultimately having the strength and the self awareness and belief in myself to believe that decision. Because Lord knows I don't know what beliefs I had in active addiction, but I didn't trust myself. So it was so wonderful to gain that back. And I'm so happy that the meetings are where you find the magic, and that's where we met because it's so cool. It's incredibly powerful.
It is fucking cool because also you have friends no matter where you go. Like you can travel anywhere around the world and you just go to a meeting, you're like, I don't know what the fuck to do in this place. Can you guys give me some advice? They'll be like, oh girl, I'm gonna take you, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like, and I've
Yeah,
never been so freely loved, cared for, considered, welcomed outside of an NA, AA, or CMA meeting.
totally.
So, and even in treatment, like the thing that It wasn't the fucking PowerPoint presentations about having sober fun or ACEs. It was the H&I panels. Like, it was the people coming talking about their experience. So
Yeah.
it is definitely, if you're willing to, I I promise you, I was one of those bitches who was like, fuck this shit. This is stupid.
Hmm.
I'm not like all those
Same.
other people.
Uh-huh. I'm not like that kind of addict. I'm a this kind of addict. Like what? What? Delusion.
Yeah,
Delusion.
hella delusional,
Yeah.
egotistical, motherfucking delusional
Hmm.
bitch. But
I was the most important, insignificant bitch that I knew. Okay.
that's just too relatable.
Oh my god. Oh, I love you. It's so funny. Like when you spoke, I was just like, mm-hmm.
Well, and then I was sorry, you said that shit about Scorpio exes, and I was like, bitch.
It's yeah. Well, I can't even. I can't even. You know what? My sponsor Bob K says you have to look for it. So I'm gonna try to look the opposite direction of that bullshit because. Whew, do you have a sponsor at the moment? Oh, I know you
I
do. She was on
do.
the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about that relationship? And because it sounds like you were a skeptic, like I was with the program, because I literally was like, yeah, no, miss me with that. I'm gonna get through rehab. I'm not gonna go to any 12 steps. I'm good. I'm just punching my time so I can get the hell out of here. And like, by the end of it, I'm like, at every I'm greeting, and I'm not even the greeter. I'm like, hi, welcome. Yeah, good to see you again.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
Well, I met my sponsor it was one male and one female. She's my friend, and me, her, and my sponsor were the only females in the entire. There was like 50 dudes there.
Of course, of course.
Well, it was hella funny because I got in the car, and when I was in treatment, I did not give a fuck what I looked like. I was like, I'm here to not, I don't give a fuck. I
The
brush
same
my hair, I brush my
sweatpants,
teeth. That's all that
same sweatpants for 5 days. I had my moo cow slides, these pillow slippers, and I like people would like make a comment. I'm like, Lindsay Lohan voted them the top rehab slipper 2024. Just being an asshole.
You know how Lindsay Lohan went to my treatment and she punched one of the counselors in the
Oh, keep going, keep
and
going.
then well, I'm like scared now that I'm
Allegedly,
fucking up the
wait.
story.
We'll say allegedly this occurred.
Well, I think it was there's like a different name because there's the counselors and then there's like the residential techs, some shit.
Yeah.
But she punched or assaulted one of the like residential staff, and they went on a news show and told the story, and then got fired because they violated their
Broke
contract
HIPAA.
stuff. And yeah,
Yeah. And that was a story that was allegedly, right, Leah? Allegedly is that's what happened.
check my source. Check the source.
check the sources.
But
Wait, so all right.
that completely derailed what the fuck.
No,
The meeting.
it's so good.
My
Yes.
sponsor.
I love it. I love it.
But I was like, all right, I'm going to the community. I should like try to look nice. And I come out, and the gentleman who invited me to the meeting, he was like, oh honey, don't you know it's only gays there. You ain't gotta look good.
That's amazing. I thought he was like trying to discourage you or something. He's like, no, sweetie, this is a safe place for you. You're good.
He was like, you ain't gonna find a man, girl. I'm sorry. I don't know what you thought. I was like, no, I was just trying to look presentable, but okay. Good to know.
I'm just trying to give human being today. Like, that's all I'm attempting. Oh, man.
I think it's more important also. I'd rather look good for the gays than a fucking straight man anyway, so.
Yeah. Me and you both, girl. No, well, anyway, because we're gonna. We could do
my sponsor
the.
at the meeting. I was actually, she raised her hand that she was willing to sponsor, and I was still so shy and like a fucking deer in the headlights. I didn't go talk to her. My friend went and talked to her and was like, "Will you sponsor my friend?"
That's a good
And
friend.
she was like, Leah, come here." And she was like, "She'll be your sponsor."
I love that.
Oh,
I
she
love that
saved
so
my
much.
life in treatment. So
Oh,
shout out to you, girl. I love you. I won't
what's her
say your name.
name? Oh, wait, never mind, never mind.
You
Don't
know who
say it.
you are.
You know who you are, babe.
I
That is the
but
power of the program in the community. My guest last week, Sheila, I was telling her about somebody that I met when I was at treatment, and she goes, "That is one of your angels, and they're going to come in different voices and different shades and different everything's, and but there'll be angels nonetheless." And it sounds like you have an angel that was looking out for you, because we all have that one friend that'll like push us into a dude at the bar and be like, "Oops, hey, this is my friend," but like. Yeah, but she did that with a sponsor, and like that's fucking love, dude. You like that? No.
yeah.
You're not about to sit here and be shy when it comes to saving your own goddamn life. Let's go. Let's do this, girl.
Hmm.
So that's so beautiful. Well, thank you, friend, whoever you are, because you're
Yeah.
here. We're here
She saved
today.
me in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like,
That's,
it was, yeah. I
no,
could
tell
talk
me
about her
more.
for
Tell
another,
me
for
more,
another.
please.
Well, she's also from a different part of the country. And so coming here, being with all these, okay, so again, I went to like rich person rehab. So
Hmm.
they're like all these, like
Bougie,
I didn't feel
bougie.
comfortable, but also just pretentious. Like,
Yeah,
bitch, simmer down. You're in rehab. Like,
that part. That part right there.
uh, but just like, yeah, I didn't feel comfortable talking about the reality of my life in addiction because they're like, well, like crying because they said something mean to their kids when they were blackout drunk. And I'm like, all right, I understand why that hurts, but like, I'm out in a trap house getting guns pointed at my head. Like, I don't feel like this is an in
Different
front of me.
different strokes for different folks. Yeah. No, and that's something that's very important that you touched on is it doesn't matter what those problems look like that we've created, because let's be real, we've created them for ourselves. But like some people have rich people problems, some people have trap house problems. That if it's revolved around addiction, it is a story that deserves to be told. And if it's revolved around anything, our stories deserve to be told. It doesn't have to be addiction or this or that. Just by being us, our birthright. When you said that, I was just like, oh, you gave me chills when I was reading your gratitude that day. I was just like, yes, birthright. Like, I am valid because of my fucking birthright. And I'm worthy because of my birthright. So it doesn't matter what kind of problems it is. If we're trying to connect and heal and empower one another, those stories are so powerful. So thank you for being here with me today. Like, this is shit that so many people are facing, don't even know where to begin.
Well, and I mean, that's like, it took me a long time to arrive at it's my birthright to feel myself. It's my birthright to love myself. Like, that didn't just happen overnight. Like, it took me, and like, it's only been 3 months, but of actually working, like that 90 and 90 day, like go to 90 meetings in 90 days. I surpassed that probably by day 37. Like some days I was going to 4 meetings.
Mhm.
Um, and also like reading the literature, working the steps, like having a step working guide, talking to people, doing service work. And so when you do the work, and it's so hard because we're addicts and we want the fucking results right away. Like,
Instant
I want it fucking
gratification.
now. But when I have been able to practice patience, like I was reading my answers to my step one questions to my sponsor, and I answered them back in January, and I'm reading them like, oh fuck, I'm like a whole new bitch since then. And just, and it's so easy for me to forget how fucked off my life was. And so easy to start romanticizing that lifestyle. Like, and then I have to remember how fucking traumatic and horrible it was.
Because we're addicts. My sponsor always says we have built in forgetters, you know, and I, my brain can play the cruelest tricks on me as well. And oh, it wasn't that bad, bitch. I was carpet surfing in a filthy motel room. Like what? What do you mean it wasn't that bad?
Literally.
Like and that's what my kind of daily routine is has to revolve around too. Is we do our gratitude list. I'm so thankful to be on the receiving end of yours. It's yeah, and it's meditating. It's playing the tape forward, but also playing the tape backwards of how bad and how crazy things got, so that when that thought of romanticizing, use comes up, it's like, no, 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 no. This is like, those movies that you see the trailer and you're like, this is going to be a bomb ass movie. There's action, there's love, there's adventure. And you watching that shit
And you
and you're
see it
like,
and you're like,
what? This is the same movie?
lied to you. Yeah.
Very,
You
very
fucking
that.
lied to me. Yeah.
Dear Mr. Producer, I want my money back.
No, I want that 2 hours of my life back.
That part. That part. You owe me 2 hours, bitch. And if you don't give it, I'm gonna take yours.
Like, for real.
Oh my god. So I guess post rehab, it's awesome. You have a sponsor, my sponsor, and like I love our relationship. I think it is something that is so important in recovery and getting better, especially like I'll say for everybody, because I don't want to diminish anybody's journey, but especially for gay men, where it is so, there's so many things that's fucked up with this world towards women, towards men, or gay men. Let me specify. And having a mentor as a young-ish gay man, I'll say, and having somebody that has literally walked these steps, and not just with recovery and sobriety, but just life in general, especially at an age where he was around for the crisis, that epidemic in the 80s and 90s, and has persevered and all these things. Like, we're not given a blue book. Nobody's given a blue book to life, and this is how you should live, and this is how you should do. This shit is hard. Actually, this shit is ghetto and dirty. 0 stars. Would not recommend. But we're here, right? You know what I mean? And it's like we got to make the best of it that we can. So just to have that guidance, and not just from him, from you, from the other people in the room that are so giving with, their experiences. I truly have the blessing, or I'm grateful that I can learn something from everybody. I don't care what color, creed, gender, sexuality. Everybody that I come across in my life has something to offer me. It is up to me to be on the, what is the universe want me to learn today? And it's so, yeah, sorry, go ahead, love.
Oh, I was just gonna say that that's another blessing of recovery for me too, because yeah, everyone has something to teach us. And
Mm-hmm.
there were so many times in treatment where someone would come in to talk, and I'd be making all these judgments like, oh, this bitch ain't gonna say anything, blah, blah, blah. And then she starts talking about how she was a nurse and she used to steal pills from the medicine tray and how it led her down there. And I'm like, oh! But the lesson that that the individual would offer would always be an important lesson. Like, everyone has something to offer. So it is a
Totally.
blessing of recovery.
Totally. Because I mean, we're all different in every walk and way of life, and this thing that we're overcoming unifies us. And I mean, we said it earlier. If everybody could go to a fucking meeting, the world would be a better place. The world would be a better place. You know.
Can be much better. That's
Yeah.
our official call to everyone.
Yes.
Fucking
Our
go to a meeting.
PSA. Our PSA for all the assholes out there. No, I'm joking.
Is that what AA stands for?
Uh,
Asshole Anonymous?
Anonymous, exactly. Uh huh. And then we'll come up with new acronyms for all the other ones that will not.
NA is Narcissist Anonymous.
Our exes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Um. So I guess I'll ask one more question. And what advice would you have for newcomers or people peeking into recovery or getting help for the first time?
I would say, wow, there's a lot. First of all, being open-minded, and willing, like open-mindedness and willingness, because you're gonna hear things and at first they sound fucking stupid and crazy. Like, I remember when I would go to meetings and they'd be like, these rooms saved my life. And I'd be like, how? Like, what? Why? Why? What? But now I understand. It's like,
I
if
was gonna
you
say now
would,
you say things like that. So
yeah. And that's what I want to tell the newcomer is that I was one of the people who would talk shit about it and be like, I don't get what the fuck. But I kept coming back. I was open-minded. I listened. So I closed my mouth and I listened to what other people were saying because I love talking, but I knew that I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like for the first time in my life, I asked for help and I admitted that I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Uh,
Mhm.
so asking for help is another important thing. I've historically just suffered in silence. Like that's the type of bitch I've been. But this addiction brought me to my fucking knees in desperation, and I was finally willing to ask for help. So that's another thing. And the worst thing that happens when you ask for help, if someone says no or you don't receive it, at least you asked. And that someone will provide. The universe will provide. So, open-mindedness, willingness, um, perseverance, like just like don't stop going to meetings. If you start like when you start, just keep going. Literally, okay, so at an H&I panel in my treatment, this was like the big aha moment for me. A guy said, the speaker said, I have to love myself first so I don't lose everything I love. And I was like, oh my God. Because that has to be first. Like, we have to learn how to love ourselves. And part of loving ourselves is putting our recovery and our sobriety at the top of our priorities. Because if we're not sober, everything else is going to fall apart. Like, uh,
Yeah.
so that was like a big, uh, eye-opening moment for me.
I think RuPaul says something. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else, right?
Hey,
You
that's
know?
true too. That's true
Yeah.
too.
And it's very, very in line with that aha moment for you. And you know, thank you for all that because I think that's definitely gonna hit the right ears, and the people that are, who need that the most are gonna hear it. Um, I just had a brain fart of what I was saying right before that. RuPaul.
Our brains are still recovering.
They are. They
Well, okay,
are.
so that I was gonna say being patient with yourself, perfection, or progress over perfection, like all those
Mhm.
corny sayings are true.
I
So just
know.
if you can
I'm
embrace
annoyed.
them,
I was like you.
yeah.
I was very like, okay, another saying. Like I was a cynic. I won't lie. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was like, oh, this bullshit. Oh, they're saying this, and lo and behold, all of it is coming to fruition. If it hasn't already, the writing is on the wall, right? I mean, you said it earlier.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, like, I hate that I've hated, like, oh, I'm just like, I've always wanted to be different, but then hated that I was different. It's so weird. But so like when people are telling me these things, I'm just like, eh. It's true. It's all true. There's nothing.
Totally.
Okay, I want to tell you this thing I heard at a meeting once. Um, do you know that butterflies can't see their own wings?
I love that one. But I heard that one, I think, for the first time in treatment. Because I think I was threatening somebody that day. I was going to whoop somebody's ass, and then my counselor stopped me. I'm not ashamed. All right, I progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
But I don't know if she had. I mean, whatever. I'm not going to speculate her intentions. She was either trying to save this kid's life because I was going to beat him near death, and she's like, I see your growth, I see your change, and I'm like, I don't feel changed. So she told me. Oh my God. Well, I love that. And I love you, Lea. Thank you so much for chit chatting with me today.
Of
And
course. It's
I,
been fun and my pleasure.
and I look forward to spending more time with you.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a good
Lucy
day,
says
love.
goodbye.
Bye, Lucy.
Did my little cow.
She's so cute. All right, love. I'll see you.
Bye.